Welcome back to my battle reports. Change of direction now with the demise of fantasy. Haven't started into ninth age yet, but have been playing with bolt action and have been enjoying ourselves quite a lot. So much so that we've started to go to some events. And this is one of the big events that we've been to, which is the British Historical Games Society 2016 two-day bolt action tournament. I'm going to go through what I took and go through the 6 games just in a little bit of detail, just to say how it went and what it was like. The tournament was 1250 points, and it was any theatre or any book that's been published by Warlord Games. I took a 1942 DAC Afrika Korps. Starting from the front left, I had an 8-man veteran pioneer squad with flamethrower, and most of them with submachine guns. I had 2 second lieutenants, 2 veteran motorcycle combinations. Back from the right, I had 2 6-man squads with LMGs and rest rifles, and then another 2 squads with rifles, and the NCOs of all squads had submachine guns. They're all veterans. In the rear rank from the left, I've got a medium inexperienced mortar, the SDKZ-7, a Grill 150 howitzer, heavy howitzer, and a Panzer IIIJ 50mm gun, medium anti-tank gun, and then another inexperienced medium mortar. And that was my army. The Pioneer was to be my assault force. If it needed anything needed to be taken out infantry wise, they were going to be there to try and do that job. The heavy howitzer was there to try and take out infantry in houses, or if there was heavy armour, to try and put enough pins on to stop them. The Panzer IIIJ's got a bit of reinforced back to it, and just as a threat to people. The 2 motorcycle combinations have recce and can cause a little bit of nuisance to people, delivering 4 shots from their MMGs and then recceing away if they're targeted. The infantry sections are veterans, which means that they are wounded on 5+. This gives them some standing ability to take a bit of fire and remain. 2 squads have LMGs, which give them a little bit better firepower, 4 shots at 30-inch range as opposed to rifles 1 shot at 24 inches. So a balanced army, I thought. Depends what it came up against and what scenarios, but we'll see how as we go through. My first game was against Dave Hunter from Down Order Podcast, and he was taking the 4th Indian Brigade, which had the New Zealanders' support with their tanks. His army comprised of 3 Vickers light tanks, 4 Stuarts, and 3 units of 9 Indian infantry, and a 25-pounder field gun. The initial scenario was going to be envelopment, but it was decided that it was going to be far too easy for Dave just to run up the board and take them off. So we decided to play take and hold, which is the defender gets to place 2 troops in the centre of the board, and the opponent can set up anywhere within 18 inches. And that's what we decided to do. Key objective of this game was to take and hold the crossroads in the middle. My Panzer IIIJ on the left flank engaged with the tanks and managed to immobilise one and take one out. Still, he had enough tanks to really threaten that left flank. My infantry in the centre were poised to move up to the crossroads. Unfortunately, came turn 5, I was looking that it was likely to be a draw, but I had to take a pinning test on my troop transport with my lieutenant. That failed, and it had to reverse back, which then left my pioneer troops, who were also taking a pin test, with no +1 for the lieutenant. They failed on a 6-6, a foobar, and that was my centre crumbled. So from a possible draw, it went to a complete defeat. The only bonus was that I was able to get a spot prize for the first foobar in the round, and with that I was able to choose a Panzer III Warlord kit, which was excellent. so that will certainly go towards my DAC. Game 2 was against James Miracle and his Indian pattern carriers. A whole plethora of armoured cars, trucks with anti-tank guns, and 4 units of 9 Indians to support them. Once again the scenario was envelopment, and I was thinking that if James got the choice to be the attacker, that he was going to actually just run off the board. Fortunately, I was able to win the roll-off, which meant I chose to be attacker, which was going to be a much better chance of a win or a draw for me. Put half my force into outflank. That was the SD Kiev 7 and the 2 motorcycle combinations, the Pioneer unit and the Lieutenant, and 2 infantry units who were in the transport. Managed to bring them on into turn 4, used the motorcycles to tempt the Indian troops that were on ambush to fire at them, then brought in the Pioneers, who then were able to take out 1 infantry squad. That allowed the transport to come on and debus 2 units of infantry, which then took out another squad of the Indians. This allowed me then to get those troops off the board, scoring me enough points to take a good win. So that was a really good second game. However, it really was on the strength of who got to be the attacker or the defender. Game 3 was against James Hamilton and his Normandy Commandos, backed up with 275 Churchills and a 105 howitzer Churchill. A tough game, but my grill with the 150mm howitzer came into play and managed to get a number of shots onto his tanks, putting a good number of pins on them, meaning that a number of times he wasn't able to move them. I was able to take the secondary objective, but that was it. Neither of us could get into each other's deployment zone to take out the buildings, which were the demolition targets. I did lose my Pioneers to a one-off shot from his 105 howitzer, and it just wiped out my unit as they were in the ruins. But a draw for my third game of day 1. Day 2, game 1 against Kieran French's British Paramarket Gardens on a really wonderful board. The mats just added so much flavour to it, and the buildings absolutely superb. Kieran sent forward his paras to try and flush out my Germans, but fortunately my LMG teams in the 2 squads were able to take a little bit of damage on him. I deployed my Pioneers in the transport onto the right flank and realised they had got a bit bottlenecked through the tank traps. I could have gone through the wall, but that was going to take another turn. So I deployed the Pioneers. They went out forwards and managed to take out probably the biggest British para unit on the table. My Panzer came in from the left-hand flank, and with no anti-tank on that side to stop it, was able to go round and mop up some of the para smaller units. The game ended with a good win to myself, so a good start to day 1 with a win, day 2 with a win. Game 5 was against Ian Lambert's Long Range Desert Group. This army is just a pleasure to behold. Loads of trucks with MMGs, LMGs, light anti-tank guns, very mobile. Some of the trucks carrying infantry, a very difficult army to deal with. The scenario for this game was taken hold, and there were 2 objectives on one side of the board and a third objective with the secondary objective in the middle. Unfortunately, neither of us realised that there actually was a secondary objective in the middle. A bit of an odd deployment zone in this game. As you can see from the picture, the yellow string, what you have is about a 6-inch deployment zone which ran in an L from the centre of the long board to the centre of the shortboard, and that was your deployment zone. The two black squares are where you could put your objectives. You had a bit of freedom as to which area you were going to put them. I decided in this game to go, if I got the role, to go defender. I thought I had more of a chance to keep hold of them and secure them. So we rolled off, and fortunately I was able to get that. So here was the attacker, and the game really started to become a bit of an attrition battle to me, as his trucks were able to roll up towards my defending infantry, and just weight of firepower started to cut the groups down, even within the cover and the hard cover of the buildings. However, as the game was going on, I was able to bring on some of the reserves, and the motorcycle combinations were really useful to try and play the cat and mouse game with his recce trucks. In this game, I had two elite six-man units fail their reserve rolls on a 9, 2 turns running. It actually worked out to be a bonus to me because I was able to bring them on in turn 4 and 5 to be able to get them to reinforce the positions where the trucks had started to wipe out the other two squads. Unit of the match, again, my pioneers in the transport came up onto the right flank after he had debussed his infantry, and I was able to take out the first unit and then move on to the second unit and destroy them. His other two units in trucks were coming in from his right flank, and so they were able to take the objective in the middle and also the secondary objective. I, however, was able to take the two objectives nearer to my building and also get a good number of additional kills. I think it was something like 6-2 in my favour. So a second win on day 2, giving me a draw, 3 wins and a loss. So we moved on into the final game. My last game, and I get to play on a desert table. The only trouble is that I'm playing Ian Manson's Finns in Lapland. So slightly odd, playing troops in snowsuits and skis, but a bit of a learning experience playing the Finns with some of their little rules. The 2+ sniper hits were pretty good for his fighters. He had quite a nice little list with small units with submachine guns, some units with tough fighters, had a Panzerschreck team and a sniper, a T-34 and an artillery piece, so quite a mixed army. The sniper was very useful in this game. The objective of the game was to hold the central building, and I won the roll-off to choose, and I did. You can see that I've got a unit on top of the building, the centre building on the left, just to claim that as the objective. The secondary objective was on the second building. In this game I did take my eye off the objectives, and that did pay a little bit of a penalty later on in the game. Fortunately, a bit of luck meant that I was able to dig myself out of that, but we'll see as we go along. Good deployment by Ian with his main units on the right hand side of my table, where you can see the hill. Really did pin down this area in front of me and stopped me bringing the troops in as quickly as I could. It was such a good ambush position for him, and when the Finns are hitting on 2s, they can do some real serious damage. This is where I took my eye off the game, really. These 2 units of Finns on the left hand side, I just put too much into trying to deal with them, which took me away from the centre buildings. Although I, again, men of the match, the pioneer unit in the transport, which came on my right hand flank and was able to take out Ian's big unit, they were too far out to really get into the central position to take any of the objectives or support or keep them. they had difficult ground that they had to get across. It just meant that their movement was going to be too slow. A quick picture of my Panzer 3J on the board. This was the turn just before his T-34 came on, which did sort of cramp my style a little bit there. But fortunately, turn 5 I was able to immobilise the T-34 and move back out of its viewpoint, so he wasn't able to get any more shots on with it. Turn 5 and into turn 6, it was a cracking game in the middle here, with the Finns trying to take the buildings and my depleted DAC squads trying to fight them off. Ian managed to get a Finn unit onto the building to get in a position to charge. I then managed to put a pin on it, and then in the last turn it came down to a leadership test on that unit to see whether they would actually get into charge. And he failed a leadership 9 test, which meant that he couldn't get into charge, and that made the game a draw. A really tough fighting game, where, as I said, I took my eye off the ball by not really getting into the building to secure it earlier. There we go. For the tournament, it was 3 wins, 2 draws and a loss, and I was really pleased with that. And when it came to the finals, I'd managed to get into 5th place, which was a great result for me, which was my best ever in any tournaments. My teammate came 3rd after a roll-off in 2nd place, and our other friend came in about 9th. So we had a good 2 days at this event. I was very pleased with how the DAC unit worked. I hadn't taken it to any events, or hadn't really played with it prior to going into it. It seemed pretty well balanced with the smaller infantry squads. The Pioneer squad as a hammer worked well. The motorcycles combinations were good for recce and tempting people. The Panzer 3J was quite a good threat, and the Grill 150 howitzer was a big threat to people's infantry. Really enjoyed the 2 days. 6 good opponents, 6 great games. Definitely looking for more of these events to go to. Going to get some more battle reports up as if I can. I've got one from Empire in Flames, which is one of the scenario books put forward by Warlord with the Americans and the Japanese. That's going to come up soon. Also try and get some more 9th Age games going and put some battle reports up onto YouTube. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and take care and see you next time. If you like the video, please click yes and share if you wish, and if you've got any comments, please leave them below and I'll get back to you. Thanks very much. Bye.